Hey everybody, and welcome to this preview of PAX Unplugged 2022. What exactly is PAX Unplugged, a few of you might say? Well, PAX is Penny Arcade Expo. It's basically a series of gaming expos in the USA and international that focus mostly on video gaming. Now, the one in Philly called Unplugged is focused on board gaming, tabletop gaming. It's going to be that kind of thing, role-playing games. There is a series of, there are exhibitors, there are vendors selling board games, there is a huge area for free play, as well as panels and things like that you can do. So it's a big expo, 3 days, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, in the city of Philadelphia at the Philadelphia Convention Center. So let's get into talking about PAX Unplugged. If you're attending PAX Unplugged, hopefully you already have a hotel or some sort of housing plan. For us, staying close is worth the extra cost because you can zip out, you can take a short break at your hotel. If you purchase some games and you want to drop them off at the hotel, it's really nice to maybe go a block or a couple blocks, drop things off, come back, take a break, take a midday break. That's very, very helpful. But we're going to talk a little bit more about one of the more important things, food. If you haven't been to PAX, or even if you have, may not be aware of it, but right across the street is Reading Terminal Market. Reading Terminal Market is it's the former Reading Railroad Terminal in the center of Philadelphia. There is home to a ton of food vendors, bakeries, ice cream. There is a ton of food available there. Some of our favorites are Danique's roast pork sandwiches, Bassett's ice cream, which is, I think I saw something that said it's the oldest ice cream store in the US. They basically are one of the original vendors for Reading Terminal Market, dating back to the late 1800s when Reading Terminal Market first began. So definitely, if you like ice cream, go to Bassett's and get some ice cream. Danique's roast pork sandwiches are fantastic. We also like Beck's, the Cajun food place there. There's a whole bunch of flavors. Herschel's, if you like deli sandwiches. It does get extremely busy during lunch hours at Reading Terminal Market. So it's going to be a good idea if you're able to, and certainly at a gaming convention where you have games just going on for potentially hours at a time, hit it during off hours, during off meal hours. Don't hit it between 12 and 1 because that's going to be peak time, especially on Friday when business are around and people may be taking their lunch from work. But Reading Terminal Market is definitely a must-do. You should hit that at least one day during the convention. It does close early. It does close by 6 p.m. every day. So if you're looking for a later dinner, you're going to need to pick some other places. But Reading Terminal Market, it's great. It can be a little challenging to find a table sometimes. So sometimes it's better to get something to go. Sometimes it's better to have a friend with you who can hold on to a table while you go place an order. But it's worth exploring. I will put a link down below. I have a tour of the Reading Terminal Market from the last couple of years, and you can sort of see a little bit of what it looks like from the video and see what kind of things you can expect to find there. Highly recommended. You can get stuff to go. There's a bunch of bakeries in there, a couple Amish bakery. It's just some great places to go pick up some food, whether it's eating in there or whether it's to go. Definitely one of the must-dos. Also, Chinatown. Some say it's as good a Chinatown as anywhere in the country, maybe outside of New York. Some might even say better than New York. I don't know. But there is some fantastic food in Chinatown, and that is basically right adjacent to the convention center. It's just right around the corner from the convention center. It's just a block or a couple of blocks away, depending on which place you want to go to. If you like dim sum, there's some fantastic dim sum to be had at some of these places. But there's a ton of good food at the local Chinatown. Now there is going to be food inside the convention. If you really need to and you can't leave the convention center, they do have some food there. Also, you can bring in your own food. But with so much good food nearby, It's going to be a lot more cost effective and a lot better options if you go to something like Chinatown, Reading Terminal Market, or some of the other local places that are just a block or a couple blocks away. We've been to the Iron Hill Brewery, I think it is, and they have, there's a bar and grill, but if you're looking to grab a beer or a drink or something like that, that's pretty close by, and there's several hotels real close to the area too. So there's definitely some good places to eat. Get out of the convention center and take a break at some point for lunch, dinner, in between. Just get out of there so you can get some good food, fill up, and then you can get back to gaming a little bit after that. So what is there to do at the convention? There's a whole lot of stuff to do at the convention. There's free play gaming, which is basically just tables where you can grab games from the library, the PAX library, which there is a big library of games available for you to check out. You can also play games you've purchased there. Many people will be bringing their own games to play with friends. Have scheduled games or something like that. So there's plenty of games there to play in the free play area, and that's going to get quite busy, especially later in the mid-afternoon and then later into the evening. Once the exhibit hall closes, there's plenty of people who will be playing games there. So if you're looking for something, just walk around there, look for people who are playing games and need a player. There's flags there where you can place on the table. So you need a player, you're looking for a player, you're looking for someone to teach a game, things like that. So that is definitely a huge part of it. As I mentioned, the vendors are going to be there, exhibitors. These are going to be game publishers who are offering games for demonstration to show you how they work. New games that they've got coming out, talking about old games that maybe you missed. Maybe they're familiar and you hadn't picked it up before, but you want to take a look at it. So there's definitely a ton of exhibitors there. There's usually a couple hundred. There are also other attendees. You may see like the Dice Tower, if you're familiar with Dice Tower's videos and game reviews, they will be there. Lots and lots of game options, lots of places to purchase games, accessories, all sorts of things like that. The exhibit hall is usually open, I believe, from 10 to 6. So once the exhibitors close at 6, they'll shut off that area of the convention hall, and then you will be able to go to one of the other areas where there may be presentations going on, the free play, maybe some of the board gaming store vendors who are located outside of the exhibiting area. There's a couple of those. So there's definitely things to do, but if you want to look at the exhibitor hall, that's going to be open from 10 to 6 every day. There's also presentations, panels. There's in the main theater, they're going to have some shows, maybe Acquisitions Incorporated. Usually the Dice Tower does a show or something. They're not going to be doing one this year, the last time I heard. But Shut Up and Sit Down, video game review channel, they're going to be doing a show in the main theater. So there's plenty of shows and presentations, panels that you can see. Some of the panels will be in some of the smaller rooms that are talking about everything gaming. It could be representation in gaming, inclusiveness in gaming, great strategy games, role-playing games, managing as a DM for Dungeons and Dragons. It could be all sorts of different things that people are doing. There are plenty on the schedule. You can either look online at PAX Unplugged, or you can download the app. There is a PAX Unplugged app, and we'll talk about that just right now. If you are going, download the PAX Unplugged app. It's going to have the schedule for all the events, for all the exhibitors, for the learn and plays, and you can use that. It's got a map in there to tell you where in the convention center to find some of the different rooms, where to find some of the different theaters. You can look at that. It also has the schedule. You can filter to the type of panel you're looking for. You can save some so that you're able to pull up at a glance. Here's the stuff I was interested in checking out, and you have a reminder. You can set it to give yourself some reminders of when something's happening. So it's really, really helpful to have the app downloaded on your phone if you're able to get that. As I mentioned, there's learn and play games, or learn and play panels, and these are basically panels where some group, we've been to one before where one of the local gaming stores led it. There's going to be some where some of the online board game reviewers and content creators are going to be presenting. So maybe you'll have a couple of people who are presenting and teaching you how to play 2 games in an hour, hour and a half, and they're going to teach you how to play 1 game and then play through at least a couple of rounds of it, and then teach you another game and play through a couple of rounds. And those are great to meet some other people, learn how to play a game, have somebody show you how to play, and play a little bit of it right there at the convention. So there's a bunch of those in there. Definitely worth checking out. If you see a couple of games that you haven't tried, you'd like to learn how to play, worth checking those out. Really good. So another tip we'll throw out, since we talked about the app and the scheduling, it's good to have some sort of a plan. If you're there for 1 day, you're going to have even less time. But even there for 3 days, you can go through the whole convention really fast and think, where did the time go? You'd think 3 days is a lot of time to play the games and see everything at the convention, but it goes by so fast. And especially if you're playing some heavier, longer games, the time can just slip away and suddenly it's over. So have some sort of a plan. Look in the app, look online at the schedule, and determine kind of what you would like to do. Would you want to spend more time? Do you want to see Shut Up and Sit Down do their presentation? Do you want to do a learn and play a couple of those games? Set aside a couple of those that you think, I really want to do this. I must do this. I want to go see these exhibitors. I want to meet the folks at the Dice Tower. I want to check out Dice Throne. I want to go to their booth or something like that. So definitely have some sort of a plan in place of what you would like to do. There are on Board Game Geek, BGG, there are games being scheduled where people are sitting up, hey, I'm going to set up a game of Battlestar Galactica. If you want to play, you can sign up for one of the slots and get into a scheduled game. So you can set up things like that. Now, that said, while you do want to have some sort of a plan, you also want to be flexible. Be flexible. You want to have some sort of a plan, but hey, this game's running long, you may have to drop something else. You may have to prioritize, okay, I was kind of interested in this panel, but this game's running long, I want to finish it, or I really wanted to check this vendor out at the exhibit hall. So you're going to have to make some decisions. Just go with the flow. That's the best thing you can do. If you can really get stressed out trying to make it to this, trying to make it to that, trying to do too much. So you definitely want to have a plan on one side. On the other hand, you want to be flexible and allow yourself to say, hey, I'd like to do these things. These couple of things are must do. I really want to see these or do these more than anything. But if not, these are things that are more flexible. It would be nice to do these things. Definitely just leave yourself some flexibility. Make sure you leave time to go get food. Maybe you're meeting people. One of the great things, a lot of people look forward to the games, look forward to the vendors, picking up new games, but really one of the most fun things is meeting friends, meeting new friends, meeting old friends, playing games with new people. We've always had a really good time either meeting with people we know, people we've scheduled games in advance, or just happening upon some people who are looking for extra players in a game and saying, hey, we'd like to play a game with you, or these people are looking for players. Hey, we'll jump in there. Everybody's really great. It's really helpful to have somebody that can teach you games there. And so that's the people there are a huge plus as well as the game. So definitely make sure you meet some new friends, make some new friends, and play a lot of games. All right, so let's talk about one of the other big things there. One of our favorite things to do is the first look games. And these are going to be hot games. There's going to be a whole bunch of tables. I think they said 150 tables of hot games. And they're called hot games. They're first look games at PAX Unplugged. And these are games that are either brand new and maybe even don't have a US distributor yet, maybe they haven't been released in the US. They've been released recently at Essen or Spiel, but they're either brand new games, or hot games, sometimes not released yet. And there's many of them. I'm going to show you here on BGG. They've got a list of the first look games that are going to be available there. I think there's 77 titles that they have as of a week before PAX. They're going to have on the first look tables. 77 titles, and there are a good number of them that will have at least 3 copies available on the table. So that's going to be fantastic. That means hundreds, a couple hundred games of brand new and hot games that you'll be able to get your hands on. It does get busy sometimes. If you're looking for one particular game that you want to play, you may have to sort of, how far into it are the people who are playing now? Maybe they'll be wrapping up in the next half hour, and you just kind of linger in the area and come back to it when they're wrapping up so that you can jump in on the next game. It can be challenging for certain games that are super popular, but it's not that difficult. We have been able to get most of the games that we really wanted, that were a huge priority. We've been able to get those games scheduled and played. One thing we like to do is to try and pick out a handful of games and read up on the instructions, the directions, the rules, look online. Is there any playthroughs or how to plays? You can figure out exactly how the game works, how the game plays before you get there, so that you can hit the ground running, so to speak. You haven't played it yet, so it still may require a little bit of rules reference, but if you can hit some of those games running and just say, okay, I know kind of how this works, I know how this works, and you can get started a lot faster. And that's a huge plus, especially for some of the heavier games, or even some of the lighter games. If you know a little bit of what's going on going in, you can just hit the ground running, and that's going to be a huge help. But let's talk about a couple of these games. I've got a couple of these games that are on the first look table that we're excited about. You may be excited about some different ones, but definitely check out on BGG. They've got in the PAX Unplugged thread. There is a link to the first look games. Two Heirs is one that we're kind of interested in. It's 1 to 2 players. Take a role of 2 siblings who are trying to impress the royal father with the ability to rule. Winner takes the crown. It's it's building with cards and using resources. I think a little bit of a worker placement. Definitely interested in checking that one out. Woodcraft. That's been getting a lot of buzz. There's some good previews of it already online. Rado's done a playthrough of it, a solo playthrough, which translate well according to him for multiplayer. But Woodcraft, it's got a little cute critter cover on it. Looks like very cutesy and very family oriented, but it's a much heavier game. Dice manipulation. The dice is basically the wood that you're crafting. You can put dice together to essentially glue wood together, or you can use a saw blade to split dice. It looks really interesting. It looks great on the table, and that one looks like one that we're really interested in trying. That's definitely one of our must-dos. We're going to be trying out Woodcraft. Let's see, Splendor Duel is out. Splendor has been around for a while. It's a great gateway game, welcoming game, as the Dice Tower likes to say. Splendor, great game. We don't play it as much as we used to, but it's a lot of fun. Splendor Duel is really interesting. It's basically been boiled down to a two-player game. Splendor works just fine with 2 players, regular Splendor. That was my first reaction is, hey, Splendor is just fine with 2 players. Why does it need a 2-player special edition? But it works. Splendor Duel, we haven't played it yet, but I've watched Ruel Gaviola has done a playthrough of it on Rado's channel, and it's interesting. It's interesting. I didn't think I needed to play the duel version, but after looking at it, I think we're definitely going to at least check it out and play it, and that's supposed to be on the first look tables too. So definitely interested in checking out Splendor Duel and seeing there's a few things different of it, how you acquire the gems on a separate board, and timing of when to acquire gems and when to clear the board, and it just looks really interesting. So definitely that's one we're interested in checking out. I want to check out the Great Split. Great Split is basically a card hand building game, and you're basically going to be taking a hand of cards, and you're going to be putting some in an envelope, and you're going to pass them to the player on your left. So the I split you choose mechanic is kind of an interesting one for that one. So we're definitely interested in that. Great Western Trail Argentina. Very excited to try that. We love Great Western Trail. Not great at it, but do love Great Western Trail. And I'd love to see, I'm not sure that I necessarily want to have Great Western Trail Argentina, the follow-up, and then there's another one coming out next year that's going to be the next one in the series, in the little trilogy they're doing with the second editions of Great Western Trail, which itself has been around for a while. But Great Western Trail Argentina, I've heard it's very similar. You can definitely feel the similarities, and it seems familiar, but there are some new things added. So we definitely want to check that out. I'm not so sure that I necessarily want to own Great Western Trail Argentina, but I need to check out what the differences are and experience it. So that's definitely one of the ones we are going to be looking at. Definitely want to play Ottawa. That's a newer one that's coming out, and I don't know a ton about it, but I know that people have talked very highly of it, and I'm interested in learning more about it. That's one I'm going to have to look up a little bit more information on it before we get there, but I definitely would like to try that one out. Beer and Bread just came out, and I think that one's out now, but it's brand new. A number of people were talking about it after Essen, and it's a 2-player game, basically baking bread, brewing beer in different turns, and there's going to be an alternating seasons, the dry season and the more fruitful season. It looks like it's interesting. We're also really excited about Come Together. It's a game where you're basically putting on a music festival set in the 60s, 70s, and trying to put on the best music festival to bring the most fans and score the most points in the game. It's a worker placement, but you don't claim the resources immediately when you place your worker. You're going to place them, and at some point later you're going to trigger that particular region, and you're going to get the benefits then. So there's a kind of a cool timing, and when is somebody going to trigger this? Is your opponent going to trigger it? Are you going to trigger it? That one looks like a lot of fun. The last one that we're really hyped about, Revive, which is basically coming back. Civilization has been almost wiped out, and people have gone underground, and they're starting to come back out and explore their planet and their civilization, and so they're going to be discovering things and trying to build things back up, discovering technologies, discovering resources. It's a bit of a sort of tile flipping game. You're going to flip to find out what's going on, what you're discovering in certain sections, and it can be set up different every time. It just looks really interesting. It's a little bit heavier game, but it looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. Definitely really excited about checking out Revive. So as far as things like COVID and health concerns and things like that, masks are required at PAX Unplugged. You're required to be wearing one the entire time throughout the event. There are a couple of designated areas where you can remove your mask to eat or drink. You must be in those designated areas. When we went last year, they are pretty strict. We had a couple places that we thought we were in the right area for where you could unmask and eat food, and it turns out we were not in the right area. So they will come around and they will correct you very quickly. Yeah, it's a little bit of a pain, but it's what's required. It's what helps keep things safe. So it's just what you got to do. You got to decide if you're going. You need to wear the mask. The entrance has kind of moved around. Last year, you could come in across on the skywalk across the street all indoors. That was fantastic. That space apparently occupied or leased to somebody, another vendor, another exhibitor for a different event. So they're going to be going back to where they were in 2019, which is coming out on the west side of the convention center on Broad Street. You just need to be aware you may be exposed to the cold a little bit longer at the beginning of the day, and it's a little bit more of a pain, a little bit extra walk for some people, because now you're going to have to go around the outside. There are other entrances that will open up later in the day, I believe, but when those open, I don't know. Usually it'll probably be at least a half hour or an hour, could be an hour and a half. Those entrances additional entrances will open up later, but the initial, if you're trying to get there right early first thing in the morning, you'll have to go all the way around to Broad Street to go in. That's going to be it for the preview of PAX Unplugged, and a little bit of preview, some things to look for, some things to expect if you're new to PAX. Hopefully you've learned a little something. If you're a veteran of PAX but maybe didn't realize something was available, hopefully you learned a little something. We're going to be doing some coverage of PAX Unplugged ourselves. There's no shortage of content creators who are going to be there. We are not a board gaming channel, but we do cover a lot of events and interesting places. This is more of a travel channel, going to see neat things, neat events. We go to sci-fi cons and air shows and things like that. So definitely PAX Unplugged is one of our favorite events to go to. We love board gaming. We're going to be covering that ourselves. We're going to have some summary and highlights of what things went on during PAX Unplugged. May try to do a live stream or two at some point along the way, so look for those. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, comment, tell your friends. Have you been to PAX before? Are there any games that you're looking forward to at PAX? Comment below. Let us know what you're looking forward to. And remember, kids, have a good time all the time.